Hello, hello, hello. I have some big news stories that I want to go with you today. Thank you so much for joining me. Today marks a historic moment as President Trump has officially signed an order to declassify all remaining documents related to the assassination of John F. Kennedy, former Attorney General RFK, and Martin Luther King Jr. By signing the executive order, Trump has directed the Director of National Intelligence to create a plan within 15 days for the complete and total release of all remaining files. The order states, I have now determined that the continued redaction and withholding of information from records pertaining to the assassination of President JFK is not consistent with the public interest, and the release of these documents is long overdue. And although no act of Congress directs the release of information pertaining to the assassination of Senator Robert F. Kennedy and Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King Jr., I have determined that the release of all records in the federal government's possession pertaining to each of these assassinations is also in public interest. Now, I think this is something that many of us needed. Last term, he promised he would release the rest of the files, but he didn't. Mike Pompeo of the CIA said this would be very bad for the nation. This term is all about fulfilling those promises, as we can see with everything that he has been doing in just the last few days back in office. This is going to bring closure to all of us, especially the Kennedy family and the King family. Now, while I wish I had the details right now, the official White House memo gives a 45-day timeline for those documents to be released. Hopefully, it will come sooner, but that's what the executive order demands. Now, many Americans are upset that their hero, Dr. Anthony Fauci, suddenly needs a pardon. Why? What did he know? What did he fund? What did he cover up? Why did he railroad us through Pfizer and Moderna and Johnson & Johnson and Big Pharma? They are asking, what did this guy do that President Biden needed to cover up? They are saying, what's in these vaccines? Am I going to die? Let me show you what comedian Andrew Schultz had to say on his show.
But Fauci took the pardon. Fauci could say, I don't want the pardon. I don't think I did anything wrong.
Mm-hmm.
But he took the pardon.
I don't blame anybody for taking a pardon.
I do, because now you're guilty. Because there are a lot of people that were on the January 6th committee that were offered a pardon, and they said no. They're like, I did my job. I was supposed to investigate this. I did what I was supposed to do. I don't want the pardon.
If you're Fauci, you're not taking a pardon?
What's in my arm, yo?
What's in your arm, not mine?
That's what I'm saying. What's in my arm, yo? Why are you taking a pardon? What's in my arm, yo?
I don't care.
What's in my arm?
I'm taking that part. I don't give a fuck.
If I put some shit in my arm, you're not allowed to get pardoned. You told me I need to put some shit in my arm. Now you can't go get pardoned. You gotta hold the weight of that decision. That's your job. What's in my arm, yo?
I mean,
what's about to come out?
You ain't wrong. Like it looks a suspect. It definitely looks crazy suspect. Yeah.
I think it's because they lied about knowing it was a man-made virus, knowing it came from China, whatever. They were lying about the origins of it. Mm-hmm. That's what my first thought. Could be the vaccine too, but I tend to think they covered up when they knew where it was from.
Yeah. You lie about one thing, you lie about the other. All of a sudden, you got to keep lying to keep up the lie. There's a lot.
All right, so this guy's now going, wait a minute. What did I put in my body? What lies did you sell the American public? Let me know over in the comments. Do you want to see an investigation specifically of Dr. Fauci's role in funding gain-of-function research, doing it in Wuhan, China, it escaping the lab, him knowing that, covering it up, lying to us about distancing, masking, vaccines, the fact that other therapies wouldn't save your life, even though now it's proven that other therapies were better than even this miracle shot. And now, why does he need a pardon? What is going to happen? Does this relate to turbo cancer or myocarditis or sudden death? What is going on? That's what comedian Andrew Schultz and many other Americans want to know. Now, keeping with the long-standing tradition of outgoing presidents, President Joseph Robinette Biden wrote a letter to Donald Trump after Trump returned to the White House. In the letter, President Biden stated, "As I take leave of this sacred office, I wish you and your family all the best in the next 4 years. The American people and people around the world look to this house for steadiness in the inevitable storms of history. And my prayer is that in the coming years will be a time of prosperity, peace, grace for our nation. May God bless you and guide you as he has blessed and guided our beloved country since our founding." Now, let me know over in the comments, do you believe that President Biden wrote this? Was this maybe, hey, ChatGPT, how do I write a letter that I know the public will probably hear that doesn't make me look like a jerk? I don't know. Let me know your thoughts. Now, even though I don't agree with most things that Biden says, I respect this letter. I believe it was actually a really beautiful gesture. Whether it was actually written by him or not, it was written in a very respectful tone. And he's right. The American people, we do look to the White House for steadiness during storms. And so does the rest of the world. And I believe that things are about to get better, much, much better and safer as President Trump seeks to defend our border, put America first, think about the safety of global commerce and the human race. Also, Trump wants to remove criminals from our country, tighten punishment on drug dealers and traffickers, and end the Russia-Ukraine, Gaza-Israel war. In a nutshell, he wants to make the world safer, and he knows that the power of the White House is where he could do it best. Now, as Trump's nominees near their swearing in, the Senate has made the confirmation process very difficult. A notable example, Pete Hegseth, Secretary of Defense, who has faced serious backlash over abuse and sexual allegations. NBC has reported that Hegseth's ex-sister-in-law is accusing him of abusing his ex-wife, Samantha Deering. Both Daniel Dietrich, the sister-in-law, and Samantha were interviewed by the FBI as part of Hegseth's background. The results of the investigation were deemed unremarkable. Now, listen, all you have to do is float the rumor and let the mainstream media do what they do best, which is to bastardize situations and people's reputation. Pete Hegseth's own ex-wife came out and said, there was never physical abuse. I am not putting forward a report. And as I mentioned, the FBI's own background report came back unremarkable. Nevertheless, the allegations piled on Pete Hegseth, and Hegseth has denied all of these. However, the Senate narrowly voted 51-49, with Republican Senator Lisa Murkowski and Susan Collins voting against Trump's nominee, Pete Hegseth. But it looks like he's going to be able to move forward. Now, Chuck Schumer has said, is this really the best that Trump can give America? I think it is. From everyone I've interviewed and talked to, they believe that Pete Hegseth is going to do a phenomenal job. All right, some more great news coming from the White House. President Trump has officially pardoned 23 pro-life activists who were convicted under the Biden administration for protesting and praying near abortion clinics. These activists, described as peaceful pro-life protesters, were involved in praying near or around Planned Parenthoods and abortion clinics. Some of them even marched in Washington, D.C. to oppose abortion and show their pro-life stance. Now, you know, many of these were arrested for praying, not even like obstructing or harassing a woman who was going to the clinic, a young girl, somebody who maybe didn't want to be a mother. They were literally praying that their God would touch that person's heart and help them decide not to have an abortion. Well, now it's funny because I was asked after Trump won, if you could ask President Trump for one thing, what would it be? And I said, to release the people that were arrested for praying near abortion clinics. So for me, this is amazing. I think it's really amazing. But watch this reaction, this family reunion of a beautiful American woman who was arrested simply for praying near an abortion clinic. Watch this reunion with her family.
Look at mama. Look at mama. Look at us.
All right, now that goes on for several more minutes, so I'll spare you, but look at the joy. She's been in prison for just expressing her freedom of speech. Hey, I don't believe that you should get an abortion, and it's not my job to convince you, but I'm going to use the power of prayer to try to touch your heart. And now she's back out and with her family, thank goodness. All right, now let me tell you about today's sponsor, and then I want to watch a heartfelt, heartbreaking video of a J6 prisoner's father. The judge and the warden are refusing Trump's order to release this man, and he talks about how the FBI, the DOJ, and the prison system has absolutely ruined his son's life just for walking into the Capitol. Now, if you're a homeowner like me, when is the last time you checked the title of your home? You know, that legal document that proves that you're the owner. If you're like me, the answer was never. But the FBI is warning about a fast-growing scam called house stealing. Now, it was demonstrated to me how they do this, and I was shocked. They use a document called a quitclaim deed. Basically, it's a small form where you use a fake notary stamp and a fake signature, and you go down to your county office, and boom, the title is transferred to this other person. They then go take out home equity lines of credit against your house. They spend all of this money against you and use it as collateral, and then they disappear, leaving you with a financial and legal nightmare. It's completely despicable, but it's happening. And you can protect yourself right now with triple lock protection from HomeTitleLock.com. Now, the first thing that you need to do is you need to go to HomeTitleLock.com/Stephen Gardner. Enter your address, and it will let you know whether your title is safe. It will also give you a free 30-day trial to triple lock title protection. So go to HomeTitleLock.com, use code Stephen Gardner. Again, that's HomeTitleLock.com, Stephen Gardner. I'm going to leave that down below. All right, listen to this. This is just heart-wrenching. And I can't believe that they're ignoring the President of the United States. But let's watch this together because it's absolutely despicable.
Have lost everything. Their husbands, the fathers, the breadwinners have been taken from them and put in prison unlawfully for many years for the simplest of infractions.
You said this wasn't the first prison that your son was at. Can you talk to us about what they charged him with and why he was at another prison before coming here?
Sure. What they do is it's called diesel therapy, so you can't settle. So what they'll do is when they first picked my son up on January 16, 2021, they scooped him up and then they started taking him from prison to prison. Son spent 202 days down in the bowels of the DC prison. The conditions there are so egregious. He was actually sifting water through a sock because there's so much rust in the bottom of that prison that you can't drink the water. And they would lay them on a cot. They had lights. This was like Vietnam, where they had lights on all the time. You had 2 blankets. They call them suicide blankets, and you just laid them on a basically a block, and you didn't even have a mattress. So and then what they do as soon as you start to get communications with your attorneys and your family, they scoop you up and they take you to another prison. And then so you'll be there for 2 weeks. You're usually a week to 2 weeks. You're in solitary, where they're transitioning you into the new prison. And then you're there for, maybe 3 to 5 months. They ship you out again. And there was a time that on 2 Christmases ago, we didn't know where he was for I want to say almost 3 weeks. How is that possible? How come you can't, call his family? Nobody knows where he's at. When you can't talk to your attorneys, you can't hardly even talk to your family, and you can't possibly, make a defense. And then when you do get your attorneys, you talk to your attorneys, and then they scoop you up and they move you to the prison. All your notes and stuff, they take. So they know exactly what your defense is. It's like playing cards with your opponent looking over your back, looking at your hand. It's impossible to win. What has happened under the Biden regime was so egregious, so anti-American, unconstitutional. They walked all over our Bill of Rights. Thank God President Trump came in here, because not just for our patriots and our families, but for all of America, because if they didn't like you, they would do anything to shut you up. They tried to shut down my businesses. They had the local the state agencies come after my companies. I got a bunch of companies like restaurants. And so they'll stop at nothing to shut you down. And I've lived through it. And so here we are today.
So you're standing out here. President Trump signed the pardon over 24 hours ago, or coming up on 24 hours ago. Your son is still not out. What reasons have they given you for that, and what do you think is actually going on?
What this is nothing more than this nasty, rotten mayor of this city that controls these facilities. They're not federal facilities, they're city-run facilities. So what she's doing, because she's all bent out of shape, because they're out, she is doing everything she possibly can to hold up the process and also harm him. My son was assaulted by a lieutenant and 5 other guards last night. He was assaulted, punched. He was sitting in the middle of the quad waiting to get processed and go out. Came in, they handcuffed him, they wrenched his wrists, put him behind him, they punched him. From what I understand, they threw him physically into his cell, and that's where he was for the rest of the night. And this is a young man who has been pardoned like everybody else. And so this is how they're treating them. So we already have a lawsuit filed, but this just adds to that.
Okay. Wow. That is heartbreaking. I'm so glad that this guy is scheduled to get out, but he receives a pardon. The warden, the manager of the jail, is alerted to this. The guy gathers his stuff, peacefully goes to the waiting area, and then gets jumped by 5 prison guards, thrown back in handcuffs, thrown back into his cell. As of the filming of this, he is still not out. The mayor of DC doing everything to keep this guy in jail. There's going to be a massive lawsuit. That's why they're trying to keep this guy quiet. But all they're doing is they're just pouring fuel onto an already terrible fire. You think President Trump isn't being made aware of the fact that his orders are being ignored? It's very, very sad. And remember, Jacob Chansley, the gentleman that I had on, the guy with all of the face makeup, right? The J6 shaman, as they call him, 10.5 months in solitary confinement. They literally tried to make him go crazy, to lose his mind, to betray his allegiance. It's just so gross to me. Hey, let me know, you guys, what you think of that story. How about President Trump releasing these praying men and women? Come on. What is this? The story of Daniel in the lion's den? You can't pray in America anymore? So messed up. What about Pete Hegseth? What about Dr. Fauci being pardoned? I want to hear from you guys on all of it. If you could, please give this video a like. Hit that subscribe button. We're almost to 1.9 million amazing truth seekers. I love you guys. I'll be back on later with some incredible interviews. Have a great rest of your day.